Hi, I'm Charlotte Merrill, and this is our So Let's Be Friends podcast. This is a place where everyone belongs, and every story matters. Together we celebrate our differences, bring awareness to disabilities, and build a more inclusive and supportive world. One conversation at a time, let's open our hearts and listen with kindness.
I like when people ask me about my crutches because they can get to know me, and I like having friends, so let's be friends.
This life is beautiful, and you are wonderful.
Awesome. Okay, Charlotte, whenever you're ready to get started.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to So Let's Be Friends. I'm Charlotte, and we are talking about what it means to be heard. My guest is a cool guy, Bruce Solsten, the director of KDSTR Radio and Able Radio Lab, a creative community where people with disabilities and others who don't get to tell their own stories. He continues a 30-year legacy to help every voice find its place on the air, from radio shows to creative media projects like Nomad Santa. Bruce is helping connect us all because, as he says, it's a small world and we're all neighbors.
All right, and I'm Anna Merrill. I'm her mother, and I'm always honored to get to do this with her. So we're going to go ahead and start with her interview with Bruce here. We're excited to have him. And
Yes, okay.
It's great. It's great being here.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and have him introduce himself first.
All right. So please tell us what.
Well, go ahead and have him introduce himself so we know where he's from and everything.
Okay. Bruce, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay. Let's see. Where do I start? I was born in northeastern Saskatchewan, if you know where that is. It's north of Montana, about 6 hours, where it's getting to be really cold already, and they're going to be getting snow and all kinds of fun stuff up there. But that's where I was born, educated in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Went down to Arizona, to Phoenix, to do an internship at it was Good Samaritan Hospital at the time. And basically I spent 25 years being a hospital chaplain. And after that, after I retired from that, I worked for an airline. I worked for the Oakland A's. I worked for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And in retirement, I'm doing the KidStar thing, KDSTR Radio, and I've I've written a book called "It's a Small World and We're All Neighbors," which we could talk about later if you'd like. But basically, I think what I'm here for is to talk about Able Radio Lab.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start. He lives in Washington now, is that right?
I'm in Washington now. I kind of bop between here and Arizona. I usually spend a couple of weeks a winter in Spain teaching English.
Wonderful. Wow.
So I don't know if I actually live anywhere in particular or just sort of wander around.
We'll get to hear more about that story in a minute. Per his name, right? Okay.
Yep. All right. So, Bruce, please tell us about KidStar Radio. How is Able Radio Lab continuing that idea today?
KDSTR Radio started 30 years ago. It was started by a fellow by the name of Perry Damone. You guys are both too young to know. His dad was Vic Damone. He spent a lot of time as a lounge singer, like with Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin and that crowd. But again, you guys are way too young to even know those names. He was an entertainer. He was in an entertainment family, and he worked for KEZ in Phoenix for about 30 years, 35 years, something like that. And back in 1994, he did a career day at Shumway Elementary School in Phoenix Mesa. He had 15 minutes to tell them about radio. But the kids were, he was a consummate entertainer. So he had the kids going for 2 hours before they had to go home. But the bottom, he talked about radio. And as they were leaving, a kid came up to him and said, "Could we have a radio station at our school?" And of course, he started thinking and he said, "Oh, why not?" And that's where the whole thing started. They put radio stations in middle schools primarily, and underserved communities of many different kinds. It started out with record players and tape and low power FM. And then when the internet came along, a good friend of ours, Ruth Woody, discovered a platform that they could use online. So the radio stations all moved on to online radio, and we didn't have to worry about the FCC and all of the rules that were that were involved with actual broadcasting. So that's how the whole thing got started. I really wish I knew how many kids actually went through the program, but 30 years worth of people developing their ability to communicate, developing their presentation skills. It's just quite amazing, actually.
It's wonderful. It is amazing. I would be curious to see what that number is. I heard
I
you're
would.
even, sorry, go ahead.
I just said I would too.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way we could figure that out. But I also heard you have, that you have programs in Greer with the White Mountain Apache tribe. And how did that shape into Able Radio today?
We had a station in Greer at the high school, and in the White Mountain Apache reservation. That particular one was they've got a radio station on the reservation, and combination of the radio station and was it Cellular One, the telephone company
right,
up there?
That would be right.
Sponsored the radio station as an activity for the kids and for. I don't remember how many years they taught. It was an activity for middle school and older kids to. It was a great adventure, I think. And the model of the KidStar program was simply to explore what you wanted to do when you grew up, or what kind of a career that you wanted to pursue. And you'd go in and you'd interview people that were actually doing it. I had a girl, we'll call her Lisa, whose parents thought she should be a teacher or a nurse. Well, she started interviewing nurses and doctors, and she went into a lab to interview the folks in there. And at the first sign of blood, she fell down. She passed out. So all of a sudden, nursing is not a good idea for her. The second one was a teacher. Well, she started interviewing teachers. And now this is all over a period of about 3 years. But she started interviewing teachers, just regular high school, elementary, and principals and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, she came across a teacher of design, and she started talking to this teacher of design. Came into the in to do the interview, and it was almost like somebody turned on a light bulb. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to do. So she pursued the design thing up until she graduated high school and managed a full ride scholarship to one of the premier shoe design houses in Milan, Italy, and has been working as a shoe designer. And now that's got to be 20 years ago now.
Oh.
But with the kids, what we would do is find an occupation that you want to look at, want to pursue, and I could tell you stories from now until dinner time, well, even longer. But that's the kind of thing that group was doing. When we transitioned to working with, in about 12, 13 years ago, I rewrote the program for the developmentally disabled community, and we put radio stations in day programs for the DDA community in Phoenix, Peoria, Mesa primarily, and the focus changed a little bit. If you wanted to do a radio program about what you'd want to be or be about, that's okay. But we also threw in pick a subject that you are interested in and talk about that and interview people about something, just a subject that interests you totally.
Right.
And I had one girl that interviewed radio personalities in Phoenix, and she could talk to pretty much anybody in radio about radio by the time the whole thing was done. It was absolutely fantastic.
Wow. I love this. I love the direction this is going.
You described Able Radio Lab as the sound of belonging. I love that. What does it mean to you?
What does it mean? Let me read you the vision statement, and I think the sound of belonging. You'll hear what that means. Our vision statement is simply this: diversity is having a seat at the table. Inclusion is having a voice. Belonging is having that voice be heard. Belonging doesn't mean feeling like you fit in. It means feeling like you are safe and supported in bringing everything that makes you unique to the conversation. That's basically the vision of Able Radio Lab. So what my hope is that uniqueness of the individual shines through and becomes the sound of belonging, a safe place, a supportive place to build your radio, your podcast voice, your podcast program, whatever, and basically to support you in what you're doing.
Awesome. And our nonprofit organization is Everyone Happier and Healthier, a belonging initiative. So I was wanting for your perspective is, why is belonging different from just fitting in? We're both talking about belonging and the importance of that.
That's a good question.
I feel like the world wants us to fit in a box. We've talked about that before.
Oh yeah, I don't like boxes at all.
What do you say, Charlotte?
What?
What do you say about boxes?
No.
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 No boxes.
What do you do?
No boxes.
Smash them.
She kicks them away. There's no boxes. So I feel like the world wants everyone to fit into something. We're always trying to fit in.
And
so what's the difference between fitting in and belonging, do you think?
It's connection. It's being
connected to the world.
Or to each
well,
other.
yeah, exactly. If I were trying to impress you, okay, um, it's all about me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, while connecting, belonging is not a story about me. It's a story about us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that when I if I were to stand on a stage and with the spotlight in my eyes and applause at my ears, it feels good for the moment. But it's like a sparkler that fades into the darkness. When you connect, when you belong, you step off the stage and into a circle. You listen, you share something small, something true, a story, a silence, a laugh. You share your uniqueness. And that's the stuff that lingers. Impressing makes people look, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But connecting makes them stay. Belonging makes them stay.
A
If
world
I
that,
don't,
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
if I don't feel like I'm connecting, it's like okay, I'm gone.
A word that came to my mind when you were saying that is being vulnerable.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, and part of what we in Able Radio Lab is part of that is um, well, I don't want to say desensitization to vulnerability, but becoming used to being vulnerable and realizing that that isn't a bad sensation. It's a good sensation. It's the growing part of who we are.
I like how you said that, the growing part, and I think that's important. And that's what Charlotte and I, or Charlotte's hoping to do on this podcast, is helping people be vulnerable so we can grow together, so we can belong
What?
together.
Vulnerable?
Vulnerable. What does vulnerable mean? You know what that means. When
I
you,
think what means, like, I will say what I think. Like, vulnerable express.
yeah, expressing how you feel,
Yes, I
talking
was
about,
right there.
yeah, talking about the hard things. Like it's very, very vulnerable for us to do this podcast and share our life stories and our hard and,
Yeah.
and just like,
But you know that's
Sometimes
that's
it's hard to vulnerable.
to be vulnerable is very hard.
yeah.
There's
It's
emotion
it.
to that, but you connect.
Yeah.
But the fun part is that you do it well. I've watched your podcasts. I'm not going to say I've watched all of them, but I've watched many of them. And the vulnerability that you guys display um, is an education for anybody um, that's out there. And being vulnerable is a good thing. It's not comfortable all the time,
Not at all. It's scary
but
even.
yeah, absolutely. But that's where the connection happens. That's where the belonging happens. That's where um, people recognize you as a safe place.
hmm A person with flaws and that we're trying to
Oh
do our
yeah,
best just like they are, right?
You launch Able Radio Portal. How does it help others share their stories?
Able Radio Lab, the portal is one piece of it's one project of Able Radio, and basically it's a an online digital community. Now, let me say that we've launched the idea. We haven't got the program rolling yet because there are certain things that we need to accomplish first. Like I said, we're going to have 10 podcasts before we launch, and we're going to have X number of dollars to use for scholarship funds and for technology and all kinds of fun things like that. And we're not there yet. I've got 4 podcasts that are ready to go. And the portal idea is that it's a one-stop shop for people who are looking for content that would relate to folks with disabilities, and done by folks with disabilities. Your podcast would fit beautifully for one thing. But the portal, that's one aspect of the portal. The second is just simply a place for people to listen to the shows that are created by storytellers with disabilities and their advocates. That's another piece of it. To learn through workshops, tutorials, mentoring on how to plan and record and share their own podcasts. Now I've had conversations with people on the whole spectrum of the podcast industry, some who have never spoken a word into a microphone and some who have been doing it for years. And in between there, I see myself as a bit of a coach. I counted 2,000 hours of being a podcast producer, 2,000 hours worth of podcasts that I've actually overseen. So I know a little bit about it, just a little bit. The other part of that is connecting with other creators and with the community, with community partners and with organizations who believe in inclusive media, and a place to publish and share your own stories on the platform with support from the lab team. In simple terms, it's a gateway for voices that often go unheard. A single, easy-to-use space where inclusion meets creation, or creativity.
So if people wanted to get involved, and we're of course would love to be a part of it and help you with that, and we would be honored. But if people wanted to get involved, how would they do that?
Contact me. And the best way to do that is bruce@kidstar.org.
Okay, we'll put that in the notes as well.
Or just to go to the website, ablradiolab.org, and that will give you a pretty good picture of what the whole thing is all about.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what is your, where do you see this will lead in time? What is your goal? What is your broad window?
Where is it going to lead?
What do you think? I'm excited.
I'm hoping that it becomes a thriving community of folk who, supportive community, a place where, well, we've said it too many times already, a place where people can be heard.
Okay, and I like this, that he's all over the world, if you've noticed, when we asked where he's from. So we also know him as the Nomad Santa.
Your Nomad Santa stories are so unique. They mix travel, reflection, and kindness. How did you
start that project?
How did you start that project?
That was a total accident, is what that was. But when I was about to retire, I knew I had to do something. I had to figure something out that I would enjoy doing. You know, oftentimes you can retire and drive an Uber car or something like that, but for me, driving an Uber car would have been dangerous for myself and for the people that I'm riding around with and the community out there all total. So that was not a good idea. A friend of mine said, why don't you become an onboard courier? And I said, I have no idea what that is even. An onboard courier is somebody who delivers time-sensitive packages from point A to point B, and usually it's international, because the packages, if you ship them, they get stuck in customs for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, and you can't afford to have your factory sitting still for that length of time. So they hire an onboard courier to take this little part from point A to point B. I started doing that, and then all of a sudden, the people I was working for said, "Would you be interested in training to do medical, become a medical courier?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" What happened then is that they trained me, and for about 4 years, I was gone maybe 2 weeks out of every month, traveling someplace. I've been to 6 continents. Oh, I don't even remember how many countries now, but it's 30 some odd countries, 100 and some unique cities. Just flying back and forth, basically taking a cancer treatment from the donor to the recipient. That was the medical courier thing. Here I am in the Dublin airport, waiting for my flight, and I fell asleep in the food court. Okay, and I wasn't worried about missing the flight because it was a long ways off. But all of a sudden, I felt this little poke in my side, and I opened one eye and there was a little, probably 4-year-old boy standing there poking me in the side. His mother came dashing over, and she said, "Oh, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry." He thought he found Santa Claus.
I love that. That's cute.
Oh my goodness.
That's where Nomad Santa was born. And then I guess for many years I've been looking for a creative outlet of my own. And all of a sudden I started, a friend of mine suggested the name Nomad Santa, and that I start writing stories about travel.
Well, maybe for our audience, can you tell us what the word nomad means? 'Cause I know I had to tell Charlotte what that meant.
Nomad for me just means, for me it means just somebody who's comfortable not being home, and just sort of traveling all over the world. Aristotle said, "I'm a citizen of the world," and that then became that idea became the basis of. I started noticing people in different countries and different places and different cities, and noticing, I think, is a good word. And that's where the theme, "It's a small world, and we're all neighbors," came from. I'm totally distressed by the conflict that exists between countries, between people, between neighbors. The bigger picture is that we're all neighbors. If you take a look at the Milky Way, we're pretty insignificant. So we better be nice to each other. So that's the premise. That's where it's all started.
I like that. She's going to jump to a question that's important to her. Go ahead and ask
Okay.
it.
All right. How do you help people push past fear and perfectionism?
Perfectionism. It's a hard word. How do we help people get past trying to be perfect, doing these podcasts or sharing their story, or just all together and like pushing past fear? Because you sound like a good example of that. Sitting in airports, talking to people. You don't seem to have a lot of fear.
Well, fear is a funny thing because it can be a good thing, but it can also be very disabling. How shall I say this? Perfectionism basically is a belief that anything short of flawless isn't good enough. It's fear of failure. It's fear of judgment. But perfectionism will steal your enjoyment and satisfaction with a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the heart of it, it's about feeling a thing isn't good enough, while wanting to stay safe, while wanting to belong, while wanting to connect. It's perfectionism doesn't, the vulnerability.
That's what I was thinking too. That kind of takes the perfectionism out of it, doesn't it? Makes it
Yeah,
okay that we're not perfect, that we are broken.
well, yeah. I mean, that's exactly right. And um, how is it that they say don't let uh, perfect be the enemy of good?
Hmm.
Um, Chasing perfection often keeps us from finishing a thing, from enjoying a thing, and many times perfectionism will keep you from even starting
Yes.
a project. Um, Waiting for the ideal conditions to make it happen.
Well, I know that with Charlotte, I had to be okay that she was going to walk with crutches. It wasn't
Mhm.
going to be perfect and walk like everyone else. Just it was okay to walk with crutches, right? Shouldn't wait for the ideal. I like how you said that the ideal thing that you think is supposed to happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of the approach that I take to the. I call myself a podcast coach or
Mhm.
a radio coach, because everybody starts at a different place. And the objective is to take to figure out where people are and nudge them in the direction of better, but to avoid perfectionism. At the heart of it, perfectionism isn't about being perfect. It's about feeling a thing is not good enough while wanting at the same time to feel safe, to wanting to connect, wanting to belong.
Mhm.
There's a internal conflict that sets up. So fear is a good thing if you're being chased by a bull elephant.
I love that.
What do you wish someone had told you when you started?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, let's go back to the book for just a second. One of um, the my discovery in writing it was connection, was being present, was showing up and noticing. And I think I'm just going to leave it there. Noticing. Dot dot dot. If somebody had told me that um, half a hundred years ago, I think that would have been helpful. But that is the kind of thing that you have to discover yourself. And I'm grateful that I've discovered it now. And hopefully, again, because of the book, hopefully being able to share that with others, share that concept, share that thought, will be the nudge that the nudge for others. So, what would I have liked to have learned in the practice of being present? Notice.
I think that's a strong word. Notice.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
it's become a strong word for me.
I think I'm gonna write that word on the wall. Notice. Just kind of notice other people, right?
Noted.
And and again, with my lollygagging about the world, I had all kinds of time to just sit and notice and sit and watch. And around Christmas time in particular, watch little kids staring at me and saying,
Thinking
there's
of
Santa.
Santa. That's so cute. But I like that you listen too. I think noticing and listening go together. So
Absolutely,
well,
absolutely.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And something Charlotte noticed in the background and I noticed is I think it's box-free zone. I love that you have a
Oh,
mug that says that.
I've actually got several mugs.
We might
It's
have to get one of
backwards,
those
isn't
from
it?
you. I love that. No, it's good. So that's one thing that Charlotte always says. She hates the box. There is no box. There should not be a box. It's not even just step out of the box. She kicks it away.
No. That's one of Perry's um, taglines. When anybody asks you to think outside the box, just look at them and say, "There is no box."
Hmm. That's perfect. I think that's an excellent ending there. I think that's perfect. There is no box. And I
There is
appreciate
no
that.
box. Yep.
All right. A big thank you to Bruce Solsten for joining us and reminding us that inclusion starts when we listen. You can learn we you can learn more about Able Radio Lab and projects at ableradiolab.org. And be sure to check it out. Check out Nomad Santa too. Don't forget to subscribe to So Let's Be Friends on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And remember, every voice matters, and every story deserves to be heard. So let's be friends. So
let's be friends.
I love that. Bruce, we're grateful to you. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more and
connect with us,
just join marrowbuds.org.
We would love to have you part of our community. So come in, give us your information, and we'll connect with you.
Brilliant. All right.
Bruce, you're special. Thank you for being a part of this with us. Really great.
Oh, no, it's wonderful. I'm enjoying it.
If you're listening, thank you for being a part of this. We are excited to share more stories and more truth and more love in every episode. Until next time, love one another, and like I say, so let's be friends.